Welcome everybody to Cup with Gup, PGA deep dive and final thoughts for the BMW Championship. Wednesday, August 17th in the morning here. By the time you listen to this, it'll probably be lunchtime. Excited for the week. There's a lot to digest tonight. A little bit later on. A lot. I said it on the pod, Smash Factory. You know, the game theory this week and the million different ways you can go about it. The way pricing is, I've always talked about it is what it is. Some soft is a word we use, more flat. I guess I get the term soft, but either way, it doesn't matter. It really comes down, I think, to making some few cuts that are tough, and you're really talking about 9-10K range. If you're doing single entry, 3 max type stuff, probably the stuff I'll stress tonight. I still plan on doing an E9, waiting on some confirmation for some family things, but it may be a little later if you're a premium member than normal. West Coast guys will like it. East Coast, apologize for going a little bit later, but obviously still working on some family things. But I think the spreading yourself out too thin normally is what happens in these type of events when I've seen it. I have a pretty good track record in the no-cut events, WGC, stuff like that. And I tend to, especially the MME stuff, people will, it doesn't matter the dollar amount, 50 cent max, dollar max. The more they're building, I want a little bit of this guy, a little bit of this guy, a little bit of that guy. And maybe you hit the nuts with that, but more times than not, you're better off making your few cuts, having a pretty good core, and then figure out the ranges you do want to spread around in. Stars and Scrubs tends to be pretty popular. I think it will be to an extent this week as well, just because you get the comfort of, I can play so-and-so. Hopefully he pulls Lucas Glover, Seb Straka of last week. I get him for 4 rounds. And the only hesitancy there, and this is stuff that I would go in more on E9 so we can deep dive into it, but is, how do you make yourself different in that situation? So those kind of game theory and thinking things out. Because let's be honest, the guys up top, even the ones that I may be fading, for the most part, you're splitting hairs on. You could give me any, say 3 out of the top 15 guys, 9K and 10K. And I think there's 14, and say go build a lineup, and I wouldn't hate any of them. Any of them can show up, win. So you're really fine splitting hairs, a little bit of gut, a little bit of this, maybe the guy you really like rooting for, stuff like that all comes into it, and then ownership. But I think ownership tends to be more flat than not. You'll have a few spots, and this week more than any, I see a lot of this guy's gonna be popular, this guy's gonna be popular, this guy's gonna be popular. And then a lot of people jump off that to pivot, and that guy didn't wind up being as popular as a pivot guy or another guy, and then the guy we thought was going to be lower jumps up more. Normally see 2 or 3 of those this week, and I have a couple that I think may be like that. If you want to join us, if you're not a member yet, NFL gets you 30% off any package. I saw this morning early when I got up, the college football first slate is out for next Saturday. I know Bobby Burger's put in a lot of work. He has his season preview out on the site, some future bets. The Slack channel there has been great. I believe our college football coverage is second to none out there. I get in there quite a bit. Bobby heads up the coverage. I'll put my 2 cents in where I can. I finished top 10 in the world or whatever, Roto rankings or whatever, I think the last 3 years. So looking forward to another college football season. NFL, grinding through it. I'm sure home drafts, league drafts, those kind of stuff are, coming up in the next couple weeks. Best balls rolling. And then we get season 1 here, 3 or 4 weeks. So that's around the corner. Plus, we still got this week, next weekend, PGA, 2 weeks off. That fires back up for, I guess what they're saying is the final kind of fall swing. They're going to go back to a calendar year starting. So that'd be 2024. So next year they'll finish in August or whatever, and not much of a fall swing. It'll really be back to January, which would be nice for content creators. So if you want to join all that, NASCAR's wrapping up. We got a few more weeks for the playoffs. A lot of things going on. Come join us. NFL gets you 30% off any package. Includes a 7-day risk-free trial. So if you don't like it in 7 days, you cancel. You never see a charge ever. PayPal, guys, if you are a PayPal subscriber, stay tuned to the end of the pod. I've been saying this on pods, but I want to make sure I put it up front so you guys can listen at the end. Rate and review us on iTunes. I'll be doing giveaways for that big NFL kickoff weekend, just like I do for the majors. That gets you into the drawing automatically for free. Subscribe and like the video on YouTube. That gets you into the drawing as well. And in the comment section, tell me who wins the BMW championship. No listener league this week. We will be back for the, I don't know if I'm going to start the fall swing or what. I'm going to think on that. Maybe get some input from the community and see what they want to do. Final thoughts for me. Weather course, some rain this afternoon and evening. Probably will keep an eye on that a little bit to see how much they get. Thursday and Friday look almost identical to me. Very, very little peaks and gusts. Not much wind at all. Temperatures look about the same. No rain in the forecast Thursday or Friday. So, I mean, we're not worried about cut or anything, but just looking at, maybe at AM, PM, because what their tee times are going to be. We don't know. They'll reshuffle them come Saturday. They're going off in twos, like, for this tournament. They always do that. And they're starting on number one tee. Everybody starts on number one at 9:10 locally. So you're not, that Wednesday night rain, although the first guy's off will still have the softest, freshest greens. It's not like they're going off at 7. So if the rain stops by like 11 tonight, it's going to be 10 hours or so, so I'm not factoring weather really at all. Now, if we look up in what time, I mean, it's early here now, but let's say, when I'm getting ready for E9 tonight, 7, 8 o'clock my time. And it looks like, man, they're going to need a lot more rain overnight. Maybe you lean some, especially if you're doing round one, some early stuff. But the way this tournament is, 4 days, no cut, I'm not factoring weather much at all to start out with. Trending to be the highest owned: Rahm, Rory, Finau, Scheffler, Cam Young. I'll get more to Cam Young. I will say I think Young could be one of those guys I mentioned at the top of the podcast that, I mean, I've heard him mentioned so much. Obviously, I like him, been on him for a long time. I think he should fit well here. Be a tough decision on what to do with him, but I do think he may be one of the guys that everybody talks about that. Now, he's not going to go unowned by no means, but instead of being 20, 22%, he may drop to 16, 17, and some guys do a little more Sung Jae, do a little more, maybe even Tom Kim, even though I think that looks like most people are kind of bouncing off of that this week, or drop down or do a different build. I can see people, that being the guy that people go, I'm not going to play chalky, anybody in this type of tournament. So that'll be one to kind of see what we think about later on tonight. Potential sleepers, low own for me. Keith Mitchell is a guy that I think I talked about on Smash Factor. I still like him. I think he's, in sleepers this week is a little bit different because you don't have 70, guys in the low 6K range that aren't getting any ownership. So like he'll probably be 5 to 7%. I like that price. I like that ownership. He's a good pivot to some of the guys around him that are getting talked up. So I don't mind him. Kitayama, a guy that I was really high on last week. I think he missed a cut on the number or one off. I like him again this week. He's going to be low owned, 3 to 5%, somewhere in that range. HV3, I didn't play him much last week. I did, just because I always, my little notebook on him is when he's been off for a little while, maybe he has some rust. Maybe he shook that off. This course, just as, I think it's a decent fit for him, especially at the price, 6,900. He's actually one of the first off tomorrow. 4 or 5% owned. We're getting a major flop lag type deal. I don't know how owned he was overall. I wasn't paying attention a whole much last week, but I know I was shocked. He was like 20 or 25% in the Fantasy Golf World Championship. So maybe that's a good bounce back that we could go to. And then Cashley, that's a guy I've liked, and he continues to pop up on many things in the deep dive that I like. He'll probably be 3, 4, or 5% owned, somewhere in that range. So those are 4 guys that I kind of like. Obviously a little shorter this week there's only so many guys, so I just don't want to spit out a whole bunch of names because then you kind of get, you almost said everybody. Guys that have moved up for me, Hovland, I think he's going to be one of the lowest owned in the 9K range. I like him quite a bit this week. I kind of talked about that yesterday. Neiman, like him, he's going to be owned. But that range right there, the question will be the way the builds go. I ran some models last night. I use this for ownership. What I talked about or whenever I did Smash, crazy week. Obviously, things are running together, but they can't all be owned and they can't all be in every lineup, right? And so if everybody's doing Rory Rahm, JT Rory, the Scheffler, I think is getting steamed. You can't have all that. Then Neiman, then Young's going to be the highest. They just don't all fit, right? And yeah, I get it. You can go drop down and get a, Kitayama, Luke List, Molinex, who's, I think he may be a guy that everybody's mentioned. They go, I'm not going to play Molinex. I'll just pivot to someone else. And he could be lower than what the perception is. So I'm interested there because I think he could, but if I get him 15 to 17%, I don't mind that with Neiman. I like him a lot this week. Should have played him more last week, so I like him. Adam Scott, the more I dove, deep dive, popped. I know the putter was a little more on last week, but for 8,000, again, that's that kind of zone that could be the dead zone that you may get 8-9%. Probably more of an MME play for me. I don't think he'd be in my 1 to 3 max stuff, but I definitely don't mind him this week. And then Cantley. I kind of think Cantley will be down there in ownership in the 9 to 10K range. I think he'll get squeezed. I think so many will go Rory, Rahm. Like I said, some combination there. JT, Rory, Rahm. And then even Willie Z. I think most will go, if I'm going to go Cantley, I might as well just pay $100 more and go Willie Z, or drop down and go to Finau. So I think Cantley, it may have been on him many times and been burnt. I get it, but this course sets up much better for him than I think last week's did. And he still was all right, just didn't have a good weekend. I don't mind taking some Cantley there as one of the lower owns up there in the 9-10K range. Fade moved down for me. These are all hard, like I mentioned. That's why I said at the beginning was, hey, you're splitting hairs. So conviction on some of these guys, I get it. Morikawa is probably one I'm just not going to get to. I think I'll just go elsewhere this week. He could win it. I get it. Last week looked good, but he really hasn't looked, is it the 1 week spike? And more so on the weekend, I think. I don't think he was very high on before he made the cut, but either way, he played good. I get it. And probably, the iron game will be there. It's really going to be how people perceive the course to be. Is it going to be closer to 13 to 16 under or 19 to 22 under? He's just one I just can't get to right now. Not at the ownership and the price and who everybody else, because you can't play them all, right? I just said that at the beginning was you don't want to spread yourself out so thin that you're like, well, at least I have some of everybody. Fitzpatrick's another one. Playing solid, looks good. Finished good last week. No issues on much of anything there, just ownership price. There's other guys I like around that range that I'll get to. And then up top, really tight, but I think JT, Rory, Rahm, I would eliminate one. And right now I lean JT as the one to eliminate. Then I have Rory, Rahm and decide what I want to do there. And then Willie Z, I'm probably going to play for sure. I don't know if I get some in the 3 max, but probably MME Willie Z, as I have him as the lowest owned in the 10K range, gets that in a second. Guys, I'm staying strong on right now. Tom Kim, boy, I've heard some interesting takes on that yesterday when I was catching up on everything, listening to pods, everything. I've heard everything from I'm not playing Tom Kim because I don't have enough data on him yet, and I was okay. All right. I don't quite get that. But kid's been fire. He's been solid. I could see it if he was being talked up again, but I literally think he'll be one of the lowest owned in the 9K range. I think him and Hovland will be two of the lower owned there. Yeah, he's got to perform, but he's been performing. No one knows this course per se, so there's not like he's at a disadvantage there. And again, like I said on Smash, if this is like midsummer and he's coming off this streak, he's probably not even playing a 7th week in a row. He's probably taking a break for sure. But, he maybe take off the John Deere Classic or the Rocket Mortgage or something. He's got this week and next week, and then he can take off whatever. So I don't mind it. I'm going to go there, especially you're getting me some low ownership there. I like Kim. I'm going to stay there. Cam Davis will probably be one of the pieces. I think he has the potential to be not lower owned, but the Cam Young, Cam Davis type of deal. People start pivoting off him, and say, hey, I'm not going to eat that. Davis Riley's right below him, which I like Davis Riley. But Cam Davis is one of my favorites, and I'm going to stick with it. I'll probably make sure I just get over on him. And then Cam Young, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have my guys that I like this week get different elsewhere. And tonight on E9, I'll probably go more into, what kind of rules can we set up to ensure when we run our lineups and all that kind of in the green machine, that if I have these guys in the pool and the stack rules we create, you can have the guys you want, but still be different than everybody else. So I'm there on those 3 still. Leverage plays, 10K range. Willie I have as the lowest owned right now. I'm pretty confident that'll stay as is. 9K range, like I said, it's going to be Kim and Hovland to me. Burns probably a little bit above them. Could flip, Burns and Hovland, depending on steam there. But those 2 will probably be the lower owned. 8K range, Matsu is going to be clearly the lowest. It's just a matter of how much risk reward you want. And then I think Lowry, if you just want to mark Matsu off completely, I think Lowry, Spieth are pretty close. So those 3 are going to be pretty low owned in that 8K range. And I think the 8K range in general, outside of a couple, will all be much lower owned because of how much ownership we're seeing up top, for the week. Underdog, dollar for dollar match. Use the code GUP. Link is in the description. The Best Ball Mania 10 million pot. It's 60% full right now. So if you want to hop in there and start drafting, I've seen a ton of people talking about that in the Slack. The Pup Cup, I talked about that yesterday. Hopefully they bring something like that back for the full year. I think it'd be cool. We got some guys in Slack that have some runners going into this week. They do have a Thursday 3-putt, 10K pot. It's $5 to enter. If you want to just do a quick best ball for Thursday only. They do one every round, but obviously for tomorrow. My round 1 pick'em is Mito over Siwoo, KH Lee over Kisner, and Mitchell over Henley. That pays 6X. Prize pick, same code GUP, dollar for dollar match up to $100. Same link in the description. My round 1, all birdie or better. Finau over McNeely, Sungjae over Leishman, Thagala over Henley, KH Lee over Poston, and Mito over Siwoo. I went birdie or better instead of like scores and stuff because we just don't know how the course will play. So whether it's playing hard or easy, the guys I chose I like in the scenario of overall talent and how I think they do. We'll kind of see how it goes tomorrow. Then for round 2, can maybe throw some scores in there like so-and-so under 67, 68, whatever that may be. One and done stuff. Yeah, like I said Monday, just go with, if you're really up there and sweating, I would spend the time. It's obviously depends on which one you're in. All of them have pretty good pots to see where your best leverage is this week and next week, who you have, who you could move around. If you're way up there, maybe pick a little safer this week so then you can hold a guy for next week. Or if you really love a guy this week and think, all right, I can jump, and I would take that. If you're back a little bit like I am, I'm probably going to see who I have left, but I'm going to stretch it out a little bit and go, all right, who do I have left that could be super low owned and give me a big jump this week, and then I'll reevaluate next week. That's kind of how I'm looking at it this week. Don't forget, use NFL, 30% off, 7-day package included. Cancel any time in that 7 days. You never get charged. If you are a PayPal subscriber, I'll be posting I think I'm going to do all this tomorrow if I have time. I'll post a post on the site in Slack. I'm going to send another email blast out. We stopped using PayPal in March. We went to one provider, and I've said this before, but since I'm seeing a lot, August and September are pretty busy for our renewals. Your PayPal subscription is not going to renew. We shut it off in March. We went to one provider, one processor. We sent out emails, but sometimes these emails, just like anything, they get caught up in spam or whatever, with a code for you to keep your price. So you're going to be able to keep your price. You just have to go sign up on the site using our new processor. Credit, debit card, whatever you want to use, and you're good to go. So if you haven't got that, if you didn't realize it, DM me on Twitter, DM me in Slack, or send me an email, support@gupscorner.com. I'll get your code for you. Your price is locked into what you had before. Nothing's changing there at all. I just want to get that out and hopefully spread the word around a little bit more on that. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. I have a really busy day. I'll be back much later this afternoon, evening to wrap up the week. I do want to say thank you to everybody that reached out in support of my family and what happened to my sister. I certainly appreciate that very much. You guys have a blessed Wednesday, and we'll talk later.